If he hugs you and holds on just a little longer than normal, don't ignore it, because in that silence between letting go and staying close, a man often reveals what he can't say out loud. And by the end of this, you'll understand the small details in a hug that quietly show whether he is just being polite or emotionally attached to you. Most people think a hug is simple, quick, normal, forgettable. But there are moments when a hug feels different, slightly longer, slightly tighter, slightly more present. And in those small differences, something very real is happening underneath the surface. Not everything men feel comes out in words. Sometimes it comes out in how they hold you when they think no one is analyzing it. And if you've ever walked away from a hug wondering, did that feel different, or am I imagining it? You're about to understand why that feeling exists. A hug is never just a hug. You think you know what it means when he wraps his arms around you. You think it is just being nice, maybe showing he cares, or simply saying hello. But the truth is something deeper that most people never notice. Every time a man hugs you, there is a whole world of feelings happening inside him that he will never speak out loud. The way he hugs you, how long he stays, how tight he holds you, and where his hands rest are not random at all. They quietly reveal what he feels, what he wants, and whether you truly matter to him or not. Most women miss this completely because they assume all hugs mean the same thing. Many women believe a hug is just a hug, whether it is quick, casual, or long and emotional. But men do not hug the same way women do. Women often hug to connect, to comfort, or to show care openly. Men, on the other hand, use hugs differently. They rarely express their emotions directly in words, so their feelings come out through actions like touch. A hug becomes a silent message. It can show interest, distance, confusion, or even emotional control. Once you understand this, you stop seeing hugs as simple gestures and start noticing them as signals that reveal what he cannot say out loud. There are different types of hugs that matter, and each one carries its own meaning. Some hugs show emotional distance, where he is keeping things safe and controlled. Others show curiosity, where he is still trying to understand you and figure out his feelings. Then there are deeper hugs that feel heavy with emotion, where he is no longer holding back what he feels inside. Most women never realize these differences exist, so they misread the situation completely. But once you start noticing how he holds you, you begin to understand where you stand with him without needing a single explanation or word from his mouth. The first type of hug is the bro hug. And this is the one you never want to get from someone you like. It is quick, sideways, and distant, often with a light pat on the back. Many women think it is just a casual or friendly gesture, but it actually means something more specific. It is his way of keeping emotional distance while still being polite. He is showing respect, but also making sure nothing deeper is misunderstood. His body stays away, his arms barely engage, and the hug ends quickly. It is not about comfort or connection. It is about control, space, and clear boundaries. Inside his mind during a bro hug, there is a clear intention to avoid closeness. He positions his body carefully so there is no full contact. His chest does not meet yours, and his lower body stays back. Even his arm movement is minimal, just enough to make it count as a hug. The small pat on the back is not affection. It is a signal that the moment is over. It is like a polite closing gesture. He is not trying to hurt feelings, but he is also not allowing any emotional opening. It is controlled, safe, and intentionally distant in every way. What most women do not realize is that the bro hug is not always negative. It does not mean he dislikes you. It simply means he does not see you in a romantic way. He might still think you are a great person, enjoy your company, or respect you deeply, but emotionally, he has placed you in the friend category. That is why the hug stays short and neutral. It is his way of avoiding confusion. He does not want to give mixed signals or create expectations that he does not feel inside. It is clarity expressed through physical distance. If a man consistently gives you a bro hug, it usually means he is not developing romantic feelings. He is not overthinking you afterward, and he is not emotionally affected by the interaction. You are safe in his space. But safety in this case means emotional distance. There is no nervousness, no attraction, and no pull towards something deeper. That is why the bro hug feels so quick and light. It is not meant to build connection. It is meant to maintain boundaries while still being socially polite and respectful in the interaction. However, this does not mean the bro hug can never change. It can shift over time if feelings develop or if emotional attraction grows. But in the moment, it clearly shows where things stand. It shows that you are not currently triggering emotional intensity in him. You are not creating that deeper reaction that changes how he behaves around you. And that is the key difference. Men move differently when attraction is present. When it is not, their body language stays controlled, simple, and emotionally neutral, like the bro hug. Now, there is another type of hug that sits just above this one, and it becomes more interesting. This is the polite squeeze. It is not distant like the bro hug, but it is not fully warm either. He actually turns toward you, places both arms around you, and there is real contact for a moment. But something still feels controlled. The hug ends quickly, almost like he is unsure how long it should last. You are left slightly confused, wondering if it meant something or nothing at all. That confusion is exactly what makes this hug so important to understand. The polite squeeze belongs to a man who is still figuring things out. He has not decided how he feels yet. He is observing, testing, and quietly analyzing his reaction to you. In his mind, there are subtle questions forming without clear answers. He is noticing how your presence feels up close, how his body reacts, and whether there is any emotional pull. It is not fully attraction, and it is not indifference either. It sits in between, like a pause in his emotional process where he is trying to understand what this connection actually means. What happens during this hug is more psychological than physical. He is paying attention to how your closeness feels, how your presence affects him, and whether anything inside him shifts. His brain is quietly evaluating the situation through touch. But because he is still unsure, he does not stay too long. He keeps control over the moment, ending it before it becomes too emotionally charged. That is why the polite squeeze often feels incomplete. It has contact, but not depth. It has warmth, but not commitment. It is a testing ground for emotion. The polite squeeze does not mean rejection. It means hesitation. He is not pulling away completely, but he is also not stepping forward fully. Something is still forming inside him, but it has not reached clarity yet. This is why his behavior feels balanced between interest and caution. He is protecting himself from feeling too much too soon while still allowing a small emotional window to remain open. That is the delicate stage where curiosity exists, but certainty has not yet arrived. If a man continues giving you this type of hug, it means you are still in his consideration space. You have not been placed in the friend zone fully, but you are also not fully in the romantic zone yet. You are somewhere in between, where feelings can still grow or fade depending on how things develop. This is why the polite squeeze is so important. It shows you are still in his thoughts, still in his emotional radar, but not yet in his emotional certainty. Now, there is another level beyond this, where things begin to shift again. This is where the hug becomes longer, deeper, and more emotionally charged. It is where hesitation starts fading, and genuine interest begins to surface more clearly. In this stage, his body language changes noticeably. The control weakens, and the emotional connection starts to take over. This is where attraction becomes more physical, more obvious, and harder for him to hide. And this is where things truly begin to matter. When a man reaches this stage of hugging, it becomes something completely different. It is no longer about testing or politeness. It becomes about presence, emotion, and desire to stay close. His body no longer pulls away quickly. Instead, it lingers, as if he is unconsciously trying to extend the moment. This is where emotional honesty begins to show without words. The hug stops being just a gesture and starts becoming a feeling that both people can sense clearly in the silence between them. At this point, everything changes in subtle but powerful ways. His breathing slows, his grip becomes more natural, and his presence feels more grounded. He is not analyzing anymore, he is experiencing. That shift from thinking to feeling is what makes this stage different. It is no longer controlled like before. It is more instinctive, more real, and more emotionally open. So this is where a hug stops being just physical contact and starts becoming emotional expression without language. The lower back is personal territory in a hug. It is not sexual, but it is definitely more intimate and emotional than people realize. When a man places his hand there, it sends a clear message without a single word. It says he is comfortable being close to you in a way he is not with everyone else. If his hands stay higher, like on your upper back or shoulders, it usually means he is still holding back a little. He is being careful, controlling his emotions, and not fully stepping into deeper connection yet. But the lower his hand goes, the more he relaxes into the moment and lets his guard down around you. When a man pulls you slightly closer during a hug, even without saying anything, it is a powerful sign of emotional shift. It is subtle, but it is meaningful. It shows he is no longer just going through the motion of a hug, but actually feeling something while doing it. That small pull closer is not random. It is instinctive. It is his body reacting before his mind can control it. In that moment, he is not thinking about rules or distance. He is simply responding to how it feels to have you near him. And that reaction is often more honest than anything he could say out loud. The truth is, most men will replay moments like that in their mind. A lingering hug or a slightly longer hold does not just disappear for them. It stays. He will remember how it felt, how close you were, and how his body reacted in that moment. He might even think about it later when he is alone, wondering why it felt different from normal interactions. That is when you start taking space in his thoughts without even trying. It is not about obsession or fantasy. It is about emotional imprint. Something in that moment leaves a mark on him that he quietly returns to again and again. But even the lingering hold has limits. There is still awareness in it. He is still thinking about timing, surroundings, and how it looks from the outside. He is still holding a level of control over himself even while being close to you. That is what makes it different from deeper emotional moments. It is attraction, yes, but it is managed attraction. He is allowing himself to feel something, but not fully losing himself in it. There is still a line in his mind that he does not cross, even if he is tempted to stay longer or hold you tighter than he should. The difference between controlled attraction and emotional surrender becomes clear in the next stage. There comes a type of hug where control starts to fade, where he is no longer calculating distance or behavior, where he is not thinking about how it appears to others. Instead, he is simply in the moment with you. That shift is important because it shows emotional depth is starting to override logic. It is no longer just about physical closeness. It is about emotional connection that he can no longer fully contain or manage. This is where the energy of the hug changes completely. It becomes more intense, more honest, and more vulnerable. He is not trying to impress or behave in a certain way anymore. He is just reacting to how much he feels. And when a man reaches this stage, it is usually because something inside him has already shifted. You are no longer just someone he knows casually. You are becoming someone he feels attached to on a deeper level. That is why this type of hug feels heavier, more meaningful, and harder to forget afterward. Now we enter a space where emotion takes full control. This is the desperate hold. This is not a casual or planned hug. It is not something that happens out of politeness or routine. It happens in real emotional moments. Moments of goodbye, moments of deep connection, or moments where feelings become too strong to ignore. In this hug, a man is no longer holding back, he is holding on. There is urgency in it, a feeling that something matters too much to let go easily or quickly. Inside his body during this hug, everything feels intensified. His chest tightens, his breathing changes, and his emotions become overwhelming. He is not thinking clearly in this moment. He is feeling everything at once. There is attachment, fear of loss, and emotional vulnerability all mixed together. That is why the hug becomes tighter and longer. It is not about control anymore. It is about expression. Even if he does not say a word, his body is communicating something very real and very deep about how much you matter to him. When a man gives a desperate hold, his entire focus is on you. Nothing else exists in that moment. Not the environment, not other people, not even time. It feels like the world pauses for a few seconds. His arms wrap fully around you and there is no hesitation in his grip. It feels natural but intense at the same time. He may even press his face closer, not to hide, but to stay connected. It is as if letting go would break something emotionally inside him, even if only for a short moment. Time behaves differently in a desperate hold. It does not feel normal or predictable. What might be a few seconds can feel much longer because of the emotional weight inside it. He is not counting time. He is experiencing it. And in that experience, there is a strong emotional release. It is not something he can easily explain afterward. It is something he just feels deeply and carries with him once it is over. That is why these moments often stay in memory much longer than ordinary interactions or conversations. A key thing to understand about this type of hug is emotional vulnerability. Most men are taught from a young age to hide their emotions and stay strong. They are not encouraged to express softness or emotional dependence. So when a man allows himself to enter a desperate hold, he is stepping outside of that conditioning. He is allowing himself to feel without restriction. That is not something he does often. It only happens when someone reaches a very deep place in his emotional world, where he no longer feels the need to hide everything. That is also why some women misunderstand this moment. They may think he is being too intense or emotional, and they might pull away without realizing what is actually happening. But for him, that reaction can feel like rejection of something very real he just expressed. And once that moment is rejected, he may never express it the same way again. Not because the feelings disappear, but because the trust to show them weakens. That is why emotional awareness in these moments matters more than people realize. A man who gives you a desperate hold is not being casual. He is showing emotional investment. He is showing that your presence affects him deeply. You are not just part of his environment anymore. You are part of his emotional experience. And that changes everything in how he relates to you. Even if he does not speak about it directly, his behavior will start reflecting that internal shift. He may become more attentive, more protective, or more emotionally responsive in subtle ways after that moment. So here is the truth that ties everything together. A hug is never just a hug, but it is also not something you should overthink in isolation. It is a moment, not a final answer. People express emotions in many ways, and a hug is just one small part of how someone connects, communicates, or shows comfort in the moment. Sometimes it reflects interest, sometimes it reflects care, and sometimes it simply reflects habit or personality. The meaning is never fixed the same way for every person in every situation or at every stage of connection. What matters more than trying to decode every single detail is the overall pattern of behavior. How someone treats you consistently, how they show respect, how they communicate, and how they make you feel over time gives a far clearer picture than any single gesture ever can. A moment of closeness can feel powerful, but real understanding comes from consistency, not intensity. If there is one thing to take from all of this, it is awareness, not assumption. Notice, observe, but do not rush to conclusions based on a single action. Real connection is built through time, clarity, and mutual understanding, not isolated signals. In the end, the safest way to understand anyone is simple. Pay attention to how they show up for you, not just how they hold you in one moment.